Hey there, I'm your host Lasoe, and this is part 14 of our inventory series. In today's video, we will be creating the item inspect. So with that said, let's begin. Let's start by going into our content drawer, into our inventory system folder, and inside here, we want to create a new folder for our inspect system. So we'll call it inspect. And let's open this up. Inside, we will create a blueprint class of type actor, and this will be our inspect actor. So let's call it BP for blueprint underscore inspect underscore actor. Let's open that up then. And inside this, we want to add a static mesh, which will be the representation of our item. So inspect mesh is what I'll call it. And on top of that, we want a arm, a spring arm. Click on your spring arm then and add a scene capture component to D. Click on your spring arm. This is looking at the item backwards now. So from the back, we want to rotate this 180. So minus 180 to be exact. And click on your scene capture component to D. On the right hand side, you should see something called a texture target. Now we need to fill this out. So for that, we'll go into our content drawer. Let's right click inside of our inspect system folder and we go to texture render target. Call it RT for render target underscore inspect. Let's double click on this now. And size X and Y we can change to be something higher. So I want this to be higher quality, so I'll go 1024. If you're not happy with 1024, you can always go 2048. But I'll stick to this. So once you're happy, save it, exit, go back into your content drawer, right click on this now, and we will do create material. And we'll call it RTM for render target material underscore inspect. The idea is that this material will be applied on our widget that we will create, and this render target will go onto our scene capture component 2D. So click on it and click on your texture target, look for RT underscore inspect, and there we have it. With that then, let's compile and save. Next, inside of our inspect folder, let's right click, create a new folder called UI. Let's open this up. Inside, we want to create a new widget, which we can call WB underscore item inspect UI. And let's open that up. Inside, we want to grab a canvas panel like so. On top of this, I want to get a border. And with this border, we want to center align it. So hold Control and Shift, go into your anchors and press the middle one while holding Control and Shift. It'll align it for you. For size X and Y, I'll do 1000. That's just personal preference. So play around with this. And brush color, we want the opacity to be 0. We don't want this to be seen, in fact. Then, with that said, we'll get a vertical box. And this box will just help us divide everything, the image and the text. Padding set to 0, so there's no empty edges. And with that, we're almost done. We can grab an image like so. Drag it into our vertical box. And we can fill it, set the fill to be tree. And for color and opacity, I'll set this to be like it is. Then for image itself, we want to get RTM underscore inspect. Now this shouldn't work right now. Yes, it won't. So let's go back into our material we made. And one thing I missed here is that we want to click on the material itself and change it from the material domain to be user interface and the blend mode from opaque to translucent. Then we want to go on the A channel and do 1 minus to inverse this, and this will go into opacity and this will go into the final color. Apply and save. And it should do its thing. So now back inside, let's compile and this is good to go. So we can continue with that. With the image, let's call it image img underscore inspect mesh. Then I want to grab another border, drag it into our vertical box. And for this, we want to, let's fill it. It'll stay at 1. This will be our text then. So for the brush color, we can make it like darker with an opacity of, let's say, 0.3 even. Hit OK. Border, item info, item data. Let's call it And inside of this, then we want to grab another vertical box. And this will be just for dividing our content. So for example, we can have the item name, item quantity. So let's go ahead and grab a text like so. With the text, we want to go ahead and make it variable. And for the first text, we'll call it txt underscore item name. We can do item name. Then with that, we can go ahead and copy this text, paste it inside of our vertical box, and this time txt underscore item quantity. And here we can do item quantity, just like so. And you can add as many as you wish. We could also divide them if you want. We could grab a border like so, drag it in between those two. Set the border to be 10, 0, or like so. Adding will do 0 or 1. And we get a nice little spacer if you want to do that. So with that done, let's compile and save that. Next, then let's go into our event graph, and inside I want to begin by adding a few variables. The first variable we want to add is our inventory, which is of course going to be our inventory component. So bpc underscore inventory. And we want to make this instance editable and expose on spawn, because we want to give this a value when we spawn in this widget. Next variable on the list is going to be our index. So once again, this will be an integer, again, instance editable and exposed on spawn. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and create a new function called getItemData. Now inside here, what I want to do is I'll get the inventory component, do a convert to a validated get just to see it's a valid inventory. And from it, we'll do get item slots, which is our inventory array. Then we'll do a get a copy of the index. So this guy here, and we shall return the item data out here. So just call the output item data. And let's make this also a pure function. Let's compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and create another function called display item info or item data. Now inside here, we want to get our item data. And from here, I'll do a break. So we have access to our item ID now and the item quantity. We want to get row from the item ID. With the quantity, I'll promote it to a local value, local underscore item quantity, like so. Plug this in. Our data table is our dt underscore item data. From here, we can break this further and we get a few options. We get the name, description. So you could add all of these options to your item inspect if you want. Right, let's start with the text name. Grab that and do set text, the very last one. You can copy that and grab this for the item quantity as well. So text name, that's simple, simply just the name here. So if the row is found, it goes in. And for the item quantity, what we can do is we want to preferably, we have it there. Item quantity. I got lost for a second there. Plug this in. We can hide all of this. Don't need any of that anymore. And we'll go ahead and connect the execution pin to here. And I think that's all we need to do for now. So let's compile and save that. On the event graph, then we want to go ahead and get rid of event construct and event tick. We don't need those. And on event preconstruct, we want to get our displayed item info function we made and connect it so it runs all that logic in here then. So let's compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and open up our inspect actor. And inside here, we want to add two variables. First one being the inventory component. So bpc underscore inventory. And again, we want to click on it and make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Our next variable then we'll add is our index. And this will be again integer and instance editable and expose on spawn. With that done, let's go ahead and create a new function called create item inspect. Now in here, we'll do create widget like so, which is our item inspect UI. And because we made those variable instance exposed in this blueprint, they're available to us here. So we can drag them out. Now these values won't have any value, or these variables won't have any value in them if we don't give it to this blueprint now. So we'll do that in a moment. Get your index and plug it in there. So with that, we can promote this to a variable, call it WB underscore item inspect UI. And we'll do add to viewport, and we can compile and save. Next, we'll go ahead and create another function called get item mesh. Now this, what we'll do is we'll get our inventory component. We want to get the item slots. We'll get a copy of this index here. And this will give us access to that item in that slot. So break this open, get a row, plug in your data table. We can hide the item quantity. It's not necessary to have it there. And out the back, we want to break this open. We could return the item data, but I'm interested in the mesh. So let's grab a return node and get our mesh, plug it in there, and hide the unconnected pins. And there we have it. So we can go ahead and compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and create a new function called begin inspect. So inside here, let's go ahead and grab the scene capture component 2D, and we want to do a show only actor components. And this will only show the actor components we want it to. And the in actor, we'll do right click and do a self, get a reference to self. Plug it in, and there we go. Out the back, we want to grab the inspect mesh and do a set static mesh. Now this mesh will come from the item we're currently looking at. And we have the get item mesh function, grab it in, click on it, we can make it pure, and out the back, break this open. We have our static mesh, so plug it in. For the materials, we have an array. So what we'll do is we'll do a for each loop. So for every single material that we do have, I want to grab the inspect mesh again and do a set material this time, like so. Plug that in. Your array element should go into your material, and your array index should go to the elemental index. Cool. Right, we can then click on that, hide anything that's not necessary. And after we've set the material, let's get the player controller and do enable input for the controller. The target is this blueprint here itself. And at the very end, we can do create item inspect function, like so. And here we are done then. Let's compile and save. And for our last function, we need to end everything. So end inspect. So when we do this, we want to, again, get the player controller and enable or disable the input for this actor then, because we've enabled it. And after that, we want to grab the inspect widget, do a get, convert to a validated get. And if this is valid, we want to remove it from parent, so removes from the screen. And we then will get it again, do a set, so it gets set to nothing. And afterwards, everything will do destroy actor. And there we go. Let's compile and save. So this is it for the video. With all the functions we made today, we'll be implementing that in the next episode. With that said, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like. And as always, happy developing.